All right, welcome to the stream, guys. Today is day 2 of our daily streams. We're just gonna try to keep this going. We'll see how many days we can keep this going, but so far, I think it's okay. And today's a Friday, so I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt. I don't know why, just because it's Friday. And yeah, let's get started. So let's see where we were yesterday. I did change microphones today, so if the audio sounds a little bit too loud or soft, or it needs any adjustment, please let me know in the comments. Okay, so I think yesterday, let me turn down the brightness. All right, so yesterday we were able to go to ChatGPT and ask it some questions for us and try to get a daily schedule set up. Yes. Okay, let me make this a little bigger so we can all see. Right, so yesterday we asked it, hey, here's our design for our web application, and these are some of the requirements. What can we do to accomplish this? Give me a daily detailed schedule. Originally, it gave us some information that wasn't too useful. It just told us what libraries to use, as you can see over here. And we want ChatGPT to give us some more useful information. So in order to do that, we prompted it and told it to give us a detailed plan of the resources we want to use. And yeah, it gave us the schedule. So we went through day 1 of setting up the project, and we were able to download React. We set up a React server. So let's pull that up actually. Let's see. Okay, so we have our terminal up here. Move me down a little bit so it doesn't block the screen. Okay, so we made this mind map application, and it was pretty easy to make actually. All we did was install Node.js from the main website, which is over here. We downloaded it. We downloaded 18.16.1. This is for long-term support, and it's recommended. So we'll just use the recommended one. And then we just ran this command. We did run into an issue where we didn't have the Create React app installed, and we asked ChatGPT, and it told us to install it. So we installed it and created this My Map application. Let's try to run it again and see if our progress is still there. So in order to run it, you just go into the application and you type in npm start. Let me turn on the lights too. All right, cool. So our application ran, as you can see over here. Adjust all this stuff a little bit. Okay, so our application ran fine. We see it's running on localhost on port 3000, and yeah, we just see the landing screen. And I think yesterday we started off saying, let's try to follow this link and learn React from this resource, because that's the only thing this page has. And we also wanted to make a quick summary of how all the different APIs work together. I think that'll be super valuable for us, because if once we figure out how to do that, or once we figure out how everything is meshed together, we'll be able to more easily understand how to make our application. Right now, at least don't have a clear idea of how everything comes together. So let's try that. 1 second, this light's really bright. Okay, better. All right, cool. Okay. So let's open up our iPad for a quick second here and talk about some goals that we want to achieve. There are a couple different interfaces or a couple different frameworks that keep coming up and that we keep hearing about. The first one is Node.js. The second one is React. The third one is MongoDB. What are the things that ChatGPT tell us? D3.js. Express. JWT and Passport. Okay, so we have all these different features right now, or all these different libraries that ChatGPT has recommended that we try to use. Let's try to figure out what all these do. So Node.js, what does Node.js do? Let's take a look at the Okay, so Node.js is in the backend. It handles server-side logic and API endpoints. This combination allows you to use JavaScript on both front-end and back-end, making it easier to share code and work with a unified language. All right, so what this means is Node.js runs on the server side. Right now, our computer, our laptop, acts as a server. How the server works is it can run a Node.js application. And this Node.js will have different endpoints, APIs. And this people can call and people can read from. And they can get and send information. So this is probably a get call. And this is probably a set or something. So we probably have some setters and getters. Okay, so we know where we know where Node.js is. Let's see where Express belongs. So what is Express? Okay, so I think Express is a framework on top of Node.js. So let's say Node, and then we have Express on top of Node. So on top of Node is Express. Okay, I think Express just makes Node, make some features of Node easier to use, and it's a framework on top of Node. So Node gives you full control over everything if you want to write everything from scratch. Express just allows you to use convenience features. Okay, so Express is done. Let's take a look at React. What does React do, and where does it fit in? All right, front-end framework. So React is a good choice for building a user interface and handling state management and rendering mind map visualizations. React's component-based architecture and rich ecosystem will make it easier to create dynamic and animated UI elements. Okay, and I just realized you guys are not seeing what I'm writing. So just to recap, since the screen wasn't on, we made this little drawing down here. Node is in the server side. Express is also in the server side. There are these API endpoints where you can do getters and setters. Set getters and setters. These are the API endpoints. This is your laptop, and this is acting as a server. Okay, and I don't need to write over all this stuff. Okay, so this is our server side. Okay, so this is our server side. React is the front end side. So I think React runs on the client, which is the screen that you see, your browser, and React probably runs here, and it manages all the UI elements. Okay, so we know something about React. Let's see what D3.js is. So D3.js is a powerful JavaScript library for data visualization. Let me figure out how to switch to the screen real quick. D3.js is a powerful JavaScript library for data visualization. It provides a wide range of tools and functions for creating interactive and animated graphics, which is essential for implementing the mind map visualization. D3.js, you can create physics-based motion of the nodes and handle zoom-in functionality. Okay, cool. So this is probably riding on top of React, and it allows us to do some UI manipulations. So D3.js allows us to manipulate things on top of the React application. So it probably rides somewhere in here. So D3.js is probably somewhere in here. What else? Backend. So MongoDB. So MongoDB is our backend service. It stores profiles, career information, and it's used as our database. It's a NoSQL database and allows us to scale. Mongoose is an object ODM library. So I think this. Okay, and it simplifies working with MongoDB and helps define schemas and perform database operations. So let's look up what ODM means. So I'm asking what ODM library means in the context of Mongoose and MongoDB. Let's see its response. Okay, cool. Wow, okay, that's a lot. So ODM is object data modeling. It provides Mongoose a higher level of abstraction that simplifies interactions between application and database. Okay, so object data modeling allows you to, I see. It allows us to map documents in MongoDB to objects in our application code, allowing us to work with data in an object-oriented manner. Okay, that sounds pretty cool. So I'm pretty sure in MongoDB, okay, so MongoDB is also part of the server, right? Let's erase the middle line here. So this whole thing is a server. So we have MongoDB here. MongoDB probably has a bunch of documents inside of it. And these are JSON documents. These JSON documents, we need to manually read them and write to them. So it's probably a lot of work to read them and write them if we're writing in JavaScript, for example, because then every time you want to access a piece of information, you need to parse this JSON file. Instead of parsing the JSON file, Mongoose will do that for you, and it'll convert these JSON objects into JavaScript objects, so you can immediately work with them. And although JavaScript, like JSONs are already JavaScript objects, you still have to import them. So Mongoose handles that. And I think Mongoose can handle it in different languages too. You might be able to use Mongoose in Python. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it can be used for. So it acts as an abstraction layer for your Node.js application. Yep, same thing. It can define schema for you. Okay, cool. All right, so we kind of know how Mongoose fits. So Mongoose fits on top of this. So this is Mongoose and this is Mongo. Here, I put DB and this is Mongoose. Okay, so Mongoose kind of rides on top of MongoDB. Maybe I can move this stuff down. Mongoose kind of sits on top of MongoDB and wraps the whole thing so that your programming language can use MongoDB files as objects, right? Okay, anyway, what's next? So MongoDB we kind of took care of. Let's see what JWT and Passport.js does. I should really put my desktop view onto this screen. Let me see if I can do that. Okay. Maybe I can shrink it. All right, so I've shrunk it down a little bit. I'll make sure to read it for you, but at least you can see what, you know what? Let's undo that. I'm just gonna go back to the desktop view. I'll just switch between the two. It's a little bit of hassle, but that's not too bad. Okay, so let's take a look at what were we looking at? JWT and Passport. JS. Okay, this one. All right, so JWT and Passport.js, for user authentication and authorization, you can use JSON Web Tokens along with Passport.js, a popular authentication middleware for Node.js, Passport.js, for Node.js. Passport.js integrates well with Express.js and provides a flexible and secure way to handle user logins and session management. Okay, cool. So I guess that means that using JSON Web Tokens, you can do user authentication and authorization. And then Passport.js is a framework on top of that that helps you easily use these web tokens. And then Passport.js integrates with Express.js to let you do these easily. Okay, that's pretty cool. So let's go back to our map. It's getting a little messy. I'll redraw this later. But essentially, JWT plus Passport goes here into Express. And this probably works with Express to allow you to access different API endpoints, right? So meaning that you'll probably need to log in before you can access different parts of the API endpoints. All right. Okay, and that's all of the things that we kind of wanted to go over, right? So just to recap, we have the server side here. All right, you guys cannot see again. All right, sorry about that. I'll figure out a better way to do iPad and computer work together next time. Anyway, just a summary. This whole thing is what we're trying to build. We have the server side over here, and we have the front end over here. This is a browser page. So the server side lives on whatever server you have. For now, our server is on our computer. In the future, we can move our server to a hosting platform, for example. I know Heroku or Heroku is like a really popular hosting platform for web applications, I heard. But anyway, right now we're just running this on our local computer. Then we're gonna, on the server, we need to install a couple pieces of software and write some code. The first main thing is our Node.js application over here, this N. The Node.js on top of that will have Express. Express will handle, it's a framework on top of Node that lets us more easily use Node and to create API endpoints, right? we have a plugin that handles user authentication on top of Express. So these are all stacked applications on top of each other. Node most likely will talk to, let me make this a different color. So all these endpoint, like this Node application can connect through Mongoose. Yeah, that's how it works. All right, so this Node application will connect through Mongoose to a MongoDB database, which stores all of the JSON files, which is the information for our web application. Mongoose is just a library that lets us convert these JSON documents into something that Node.js understands. And after the server-side setup, the way that the browser can interface with the server is through these API endpoints right here. So these API endpoints are like getters and setters that allow us to talk back and forth from the client to the server, right? So pieces of information, the client will need something, send it to the server. The server will process the information through this whole stack and then say, oh, here's the answer, and send it back, right? So that's what APIs are used for. They stand for application, I don't remember what they stand for. Let's take a look. So I just asked ChatGPT what an API stands for. And this is kind of the whole point of using ChatGPT. I'm really curious how well ChatGPT can be used to help us through creating this application. I haven't created an application in a long time, and a lot of these things I've forgotten. So API stands for Application Programming Interface. And of course, take everything ChatGPT says with a grain of salt, right? So Application Programming Interface, that makes sense. Why is it called that? It is a set of rules and protocols that allow different applications to communicate and interact with each other, right? So in this case, in our iPad view, the API allows us to interface between the server side and the client side. This interaction between is the API. There are different types of APIs. Web APIs, which is what we're talking about. We're talking about REST API. So this is the picture that I showed before. We're mostly looking at REST APIs, right? There are other types of APIs. Library APIs, these are for like developers to do different software development tasks that aren't necessarily web-based, right? So for embedded systems, we have a lot of library functions that work to talk to hardware, but that's just hardware. We also have operating system API, so this allows us to interact with like file management, network communication, hardware components, things like that, through the use of like some sort of interface, right? So APIs are super important because it allows different programs to communicate with different programs. That's actually a really good point in software development and in most of engineering. What you really want to do when you encounter big problems, and I'll call our application a big problem, but when you see a big problem, what you really want to do is to break it down into parts and put them into layers, right? In the networking world, there's this thing called the OSI layer. Basically, there's 7 different layers in order for you to transfer information through the internet, right? This 7-layer system makes it much easier for different engineers to work on different parts, and then you define how the different layers communicate with each other. And then once you define that, then all the engineers kind of know how to talk to each other, and they can work on their own part. And then when you combine it together, it works together in the whole system. If you were one engineer trying to work on everything, making a giant complex system, you first get super confused, and 2, it'd be impossible. Like there's not enough time in the day to do everything that you want to do, right? This is how teamwork gets done in engineering. So a cool concept is abstraction. Abstraction is kind of like that. You basically build things up in smaller layers. So you have small building blocks, and then you keep abstracting it into larger and larger scopes, right? We can talk about abstraction a different day, but all right. So this is kind of, at least I have a better picture of what we're gonna do. Hopefully this isn't too confusing for you guys. I'll make a PDF with this in a nicely formatted fashion so that you guys can use that as a reference. And I'll send that out maybe tomorrow or later this week. All right, so enough talking about all this stuff. Let's try to follow along ChatGPT and see if we can do some of the tutorials that it's telling us to do. So we finished the first step. Let's take a look at the steps it told us to do. So it says install npm for day 1, which is what we did. Day 2 to 4, designing the mind map UI. Oh wow, cool. So it says learn the basics of React, including components, states, props, refer to the official React documentation and get started. All right, cool. So why don't we do that? And that's actually what we were gonna do anyway when we clicked learn React. So it's probably the same page, but let's just follow Node.js, or let's just follow ChatGPT. And we're not gonna need the iPad anymore. Okay, let me check. Let me check Twitch to see if anybody is online, because I am not on the Twitch channel. Okay, so let me first post the Discord channel page on Twitch. And for those that want to join, I'll put it on screen. Oh. Oh. Okay, definitely pressing the... Okay, so I've sent out the Discord link on Twitch chat, and let me just show you what our Discord page looks like. This is our Discord page. We have a general chat area over here. A couple people have joined. You can feel free to post any content you'd like. Just because we're talking about AI, I've posted a YouTube video about the benefits and dangers of AI, right? When I start streaming, I'll definitely post on this Y Academy stream page, okay? And you will be notified of our future streams. I'll try to make it consistent most days. I do have work, and then after work, I try to do some exercise. So I'll do that after all this, but I'll make a more consistent schedule as we get further along. We have our channels, voice channels. There's a lounge. I'll join the lounge. And yeah, this is kind of our Y Academy Discord channel for this stream. So feel free to hop into the stream sometime and say hi. We definitely love some participation from you guys, right? Okay, so next thing. Back to... All right, so now I'm just procrastinating. Let's go back to our quick start guide. So this one. And let's ask ChatGPT. So we are starting your daily schedule as you suggested, and we successfully completed day 1 of your instructions. We are going to start day 2 and begin to learn to... Let's just copy the link for him. Get started page. Is there anything we should watch out for or notice when we go through the tutorial? Right, so we just want to see what ChatGPT has and what advice it can give us when we go through the tutorial. Let's see what he said. Let's see what ChatGPT says. He or she. It. That's great to hear. You completed day 1. As you begin day 2, explore the React.js documentation. Here are a few things to keep in mind and watch out for. React concepts. React documentation covers fundamental concepts and features of React.js. It wants us to look at code. Okay, all this stuff is very, very generic. I feel like ChatGPT has become quite generic in the recent days, but that's fine. That's fine. Can you give us some informal advice? The advice you shared above sounds very robotic. See if he gets angry at us. It's some informal advice. Okay, embrace the component mindset. Oh, interesting. All right. It's just JSX. It's like HTML with superpowers. Okay. Start simple. I like this one. Start simple, grow gradually. Google is your best friend. Okay, why not ChatGPT? I thought ChatGPT is my best friend. Why are you telling me Google is my best friend? Let me ask him. I thought you were my best friend to help me through this application. Help me build. Oh, did I make it angry? Is it unhappy with me? Okay. He's so slow. He's like, yeah, sure, we're best friends. Here's some encouraging words. All right. Thank you very much. I hope that was genuine. I would prefer to over Google. This is a experiment on how well we can use ChatGPT as a learning device for web development, and this progress of this application will be our gauge. Oh, now he's much faster. He's happier now. Okay. He says, I assure you my assistance is genuine. I'm here to support you through your development. Using ChatGPT as a learning device is a great experiment, and I'm excited to be a part of it. As you make progress, I'll be here to provide guidance. All right. Honestly, this program, like ChatGPT, is pretty impressive. Like being able to understand all this. Okay. Thank you very much. We will start day 2 now. Cool. All right. So let's get started. Where is the page? Okay. I just want to double check that the link is the same link that ChatGPT sent. Oh, so it's a different page. All right. So this is the React Getting Started page, and this is the Quick Start page. Interesting. All right. What's the difference? This is legacy. Okay, so it sent me back in time. It's no longer updated. Go to react.dev. All right, so React is a little bit old in ChatGPT's brain, but that's fine. This is the same thing. React.dev. All right, so let's just go to react.dev. Welcome to the documentation. Reading this page will give you an introduction to 80% of the React concepts you will use on a daily basis. 80% is a lot. That's like 20/80 rule. You use 20% of all you learn for 80% of what you do. But now we're gonna learn 80%. So this is cool. We're gonna create and nest components. We're gonna add markup and styles. We're gonna display some data, render conditions and lists, respond to events, and update the screen, and share some data between components. All right, cool. So what's a component? React apps are made out of components. A component is a piece of UI that has its own logic and appearance. A component can be as small as a button or as large as an entire page. React components are JavaScript functions that return markup. All right, cool. So this is a button. It's a function. It has a button. The name of the function is my button, and it returns this button. Okay, so now that we made a component, we can nest it into another component. Okay, cool. So my button is now a component, and we have a different component, my app, and I guess you can nest it. So my button will go into this function and call that function. That's pretty cool. That's really cool, actually. And I'm assuming this is written in JSX. So JSX is the scripting language that I think they use. Notice my button starts with a capital letter. That's how you know that it's a React component. Component names must always start with a capital letter, while HTML tags must be lowercase. All right, that's a really good thing to notice. And maybe we should take some notes too. Let's go back to our first stream. So this is no longer the first stream, but whatever. Oh, actually, career mind map. All right, I have a folder for this. So that's first day plans, first stream. Let's make a new folder called, or new file called second stream. So React. So key things to note. Components start with capital letters. HTML tags start with lowercase. Great to know. All right, so let's see. This is anything in purple is a component, and anything in green is a HTML element. And cool, this has made a button. And is this live? Oh, this is live. Whoa, that's pretty cool. So hello world. We are making a really long button. Okay, that's a really long button. That's pretty cool. I wonder if we can nest a second button. What if I made my better button? All right, so what should we put in this button? This button is the best button in the world. I don't know, I'm just making something up. Okay, so how will we use my better button instead of my button? Well, I think we can just to let you guys know, I literally just read this with you guys, so I hope this works. But if it doesn't work, then it's a learning experience. So we have two buttons now because we just nested two buttons. And then I think if I just put my better button, bam, we have the best button in the world. And because it's a better button, we should definitely put that before my button. Now, I think when you're learning something, it's more fun if you play around with it instead of just trying to like copy and paste everything, and you try to understand what and how to make things. Experiment with things, right? Like, don't be afraid to break things. I remember when I was a kid, I used to run around and I'd like tear apart everything. It was terrible for my family, but it was great for me. Like, I would literally, let's see if whatever. Okay, so I have this cute little ducky, right? Mr. Ducky. My sister gave this to me. But what would I do as a kid? I would literally like go and like start prying apart the ducky, and then I would get to the batteries, and then I would figure out like what the different parts of this was, and then try to like hack it to be my own. Of course, now I don't do that with things I really care about because I want to keep them. But the same thing applies with code. And I think the best part about code is, unlike physical items where you break it apart, you gotta fix it yourself. In code, you literally just like save, and then it could do whatever you want. You can break it, and then you can just, if it breaks, go back to what you saved before. So it's a great way. It's like a great medium for you to experiment with and just enjoy your time, right? So anyway, say bye to Ducky. I love him because he's so bright. Like, look at this guy. I love the colors. This is so cool. Let me make him bigger on my cam so you can see him. So if you, where's his face? If you tap him, bam, he starts glowing. Okay, now he's not focusing. Bam, bam. I love this guy. And he also acts as an iPhone holder. So if you put an iPhone on his legs, ta-da, your iPhone can be held. It's pretty cool. Anyway, thank you, Alicia, for this. Leave them on the side. And it's USB-C charging from the back. Even though it's right, don't whatchamacallit. don't strike me because I showed you a butt of a stuffed animal duck. All right. So going back to the desktop view, I was saying all this because I wanted to see if I can bold the button. So what if I put a bold tag on it? Okay, nothing happens. All right, so apparently you cannot bold components. What if you, I guess you can put it in a header tag? What happens if you put it in a header tag? Okay, not much. So, all right, so I guess components, you can nest them, but you can't, I don't know what kind of CSS properties it'll have, but I guess you can nest them, but nothing happens to it. I wonder, have a paragraph tag. So I'm guessing you can put a paragraph tag on it. Yeah, so it looks like a paragraph tag added some space between the two buttons. All right, so this is cool. Like I said, this is a great learning experience. You can see I did break it a little bit, but who cares? This is like experimenting, right? That's the whole point. Let me put myself somewhere where I don't block everything. Right here. Here. All right, whatever. Over here. Okay, continuing on. The export default keywords specify the main component in the file. If you're not familiar with some piece of JavaScript syntax, these are great resources. So let's copy these resources. My JavaScript is elementary at best, and we will definitely ask ChatGPT to help us. But let's see, JavaScript resources. Excuse me. Okay, so this is one resource. What other resource? This is another resource. Great. Oh, what did I do? All right, writing markup with JSX. So the markup syntax you've seen above is called JSX. It is optional, but most React projects use JSX for its convenience. All of the tools we recommend for local development support JSX out of the box. All right, cool. JSX is stricter than HTML. You have to close tags like BR. Your component also can't return multiple JSX tags. You have to wrap them in a shared parent, like a div or an empty wrapper. All right, so what is this saying? It's saying that JSX is much stricter, right? It makes sense because it's like a scripting language. You don't want to have missing tags all over the place. You have to close the tags. You can't return multiple JSX tags. What does it mean by multiple JSX tags? I see. All right, so I see how this works. So app.js, I think, returns just a button. So this is the only tag. So what if I return a different tag? What if I put a button in a, I don't know, a header tag? Okay, so it works. So that's not what it's talking about. What is it talking about? It's saying your component also can't return multiple JSX tags. Return. Oh, I see. Okay, I get it. So it can only return one like scope of things, right? It can only return one tag. So you see, this is all wrapped in one single tag, a div, right? You can probably remove this, and then yeah, it's fine. Okay, cool. So in order to break it, I think if we try to return two buttons, all right, cool. So all right, so there's a problem. If you try to return two buttons in a row, let's say we just want to have two buttons next to each other and we decided to put two buttons there, it's gonna break. It's gonna say, hey, adjacent elements must be wrapped in an enclosing tag, right? Did you want a JSX fragment? So the compiler is pretty smart. It tells you what it thinks is wrong. So in order to fix it, I'm getting a lot of emails. All right, there's nothing. What was I saying? All right, so in order to fix it, what you can do is wrap the whole thing in a div tag, right? All right, let's see. Bam! Now you have two buttons, right? Because the whole thing is wrapped in one tag, right? The div tag. And if I indent it, it's more clear, right? I think the compiler suggested we wrap it in an empty tag, which works as well, right? Cool. So that's what we discovered. Components can only return one tag, a shared parent tag. If you have a lot of HTML to port to JSX, oh, there's an online converter. Let's take a look at that. Wow, that's cool. So this converts it to JSX. You notice that JSX returns the whole thing in a wrapper tag because it can only return one component, which is cool. And then what other differences? Okay, so the class, looks like class and class name, they add a name to it. What else do they have? HTML, okay, so 4, there's a HTML4. Type is the same, ID is the same. All right, so the main difference, oh, and also you can see that this is wrapped in like a double bracket over here. And obviously the highlighting is much uglier, so. All right, enough of that. Next, adding styles. In React, you can specify how much time do we have? 40 minutes, all right. So in React, you can specify a CSS class with class name. It works the same way as HTML class attribute. All right, cool. So in HTML, if you want to make a class, you can specify class name, right? Actually, I think we should have started with HTML tutorials, but I'm gonna just gloss over that because my HTML is not that good, and I'm sure your HTML is better than mine. If I run into HTML issues, such as what classes do, which I definitely will, we will take a look into it, and that's what I'm clicking into actually. So we'll take a look at classes when we need them, and then we'll see what they're used for. But right now, the tutorial doesn't seem to need us to know what classes really do. So let's just keep going. All right, so this image has a class name called avatar. Instead of class, you convert it to class name. Then you write the CSS rules for it in a separate CSS file. In your CSS, you do avatar. Oh, I see. Okay, so this class name probably defines what this image tag, like the specific image tag, right? The specific image class has a class, and the class is called avatar. So to address it in CSS, so how HTML and CSS works is HTML is the structure of your web application, and CSS gives it a style, right? It's a style sheet, right? So in order to address certain elements on the page, you can have like a billion different images on your page if you wanted to, but CSS needs to know which specific image you're talking about. Like, is it the picture of the flying bird or is it a picture of your turtle, right? We need to know. So in order to know, there's this thing called classes, and the class will let you know, it'll let you define which image you're talking about, right? So the image with the avatar will have a border radius of 50%, right? React does not prescribe how you add CSS files. In the simplest case, you'll add a link tag to your HTML. If you use a build tool or framework, consult its documentation. Okay, so the CSS file, you don't really need to figure out how to add. You can just add it with the link tag, right? Like a normal CSS document. So for example, the CSS document link tag is will stylize this text, right? So you just use this link tag up here. And that's the same thing that they're saying, just do it the same way that you used to do unless you have a different framework. All right, how far are we? So we're about here. How many? Okay, we got a little bit. And then, no, there's a fun tutorial. All right, so I guess this page is kind of the boring part. We're gonna go through the page. Hopefully you guys aren't too bored going through the page. Maybe today we can get to the tutorial. If not today, then tomorrow we'll do the tutorial, right? But I think it's important we go through all this information. Again, if you guys are on the stream and you want to put input so I don't waste your time, feel free to join our Discord page. If you join the Discord page, then you can talk to me and talk on the stream and tell us, hey, let's just skip this stuff. But since nobody's there, I'm just gonna talk about it. So displaying data. Okay, so JSX lets you put markup into JavaScript. And that's awesome. Curly braces let you escape back into JavaScript. So you can embed variables from your code and display it to the user. For example, this will display user.name. All right, what does that mean? Well, JSX, if you look in the context of these applications, this is a JavaScript piece of code, right? Like JavaScript is not HTML, right? JavaScript is a scripting language that's written in that's JavaScript. It's its own language. HTML is a different language, right? When you write pure HTML into JavaScript without Node.js or without React, like JavaScript has no idea what to do with HTML because HTML is a different language than JavaScript. In order for you to have JavaScript understand HTML, you need some sort of way to interpret it, right? JSX allows us to write JavaScript in a way where, JSX allows us to write HTML like in a way that JavaScript understands HTML, right? That's what JSX is for. So you can see that even if this is in JavaScript, it understands what these brackets are. If you just ran this in a regular JavaScript application, you'd have, like, JavaScript would have no idea what to do with this. But because we have JSX, it does, right? So now it's saying that if we want to display something that's from our application, we need to escape from this JSX. So this block of JSX is a template. It is like a script, like a template language, right? In order for us to do like 2 plus 2, right? Let's see, I'm a button 2 plus 2, right? This is just text. It's not gonna actually do 2 plus 2. How do we get JavaScript to do 2 plus 2? What this is saying down below, wherever it is, displaying data, is curly braces let you go back into JavaScript, right? So what can we do here? Let's go here. So 2 plus 2, if we put curly brackets around it, I'm a button 4. Wow, look at that. It evaluated 2 plus 2, right? What does that mean? It literally went back out of the scripting language and did 2 plus 2 in JavaScript, evaluated it, so 2 plus 2 is 4, and then returned it, and then displayed it, right? So I'm a button. 2 plus 2 equals 4, right? I'm a button. 2 plus 2 equals 4. You guys can see on stream, right? So that's kind of cool. That's actually really cool. I wonder what sort of JavaScript libraries we have. I have not done JavaScript in a long time, so let's search up JavaScript math library. Cool. So it has a default math library. Why did I search this up? Because I like math.random, because I'm a very random person. Well, let's do pi. All right, math.pi. So in pure JavaScript, let's see if this is happy. Can we? Nah, it's okay. Let's try math.pi. Wow, and it prints out pi. What do you know? 2 plus 2 is not pi. Let's say, I don't know, pi is pi is that, right? So now you can use math libraries, right? And let's do what we originally wanted to do, what I originally wanted to do, which is do math.random in, where is it? Okay, let's do math.random. Math.random. Bam. Math.random gives a number between 0 to 1. Okay, so 0.68, and I'm pretty sure every time you reset, bam, it's a different number. So every time you load the page, it's like a different number, and it's not pi. I'm a button, and I'm a random button. I'm a random button, and here's my number. My favorite number is, and let's do math.random. And like I said, this is JavaScript, so you can do whatever you want to it. You can multiply it by 10. You can do a floor. Let's do math. I don't like all the digits that we're seeing, so let's floor this thing. Okay. Okay. I expected a comma. Is there a floor function in math.floor? All right, there is. What's going on? All right, let's see. So, you see, my mistake. Need to delete that guy. Bam. My favorite number is 0. Now, why is it 0? Did I floor the wrong thing? I don't know. Let's reset this thing. Don't reset the edits. Okay. It just happened that number was near 0. So, yeah. So now my favorite number is 4, right? You can make this like 100,000. Bam. Now its favorite number is a bunch of 7s, which is very weird. This is like, this random generators. Weird. Okay, so let's keep going. Where are we? Displaying data. So now we can escape JSX, right? And do all this stuff. So their example is you have to use. Okay, so you can also escape into Java. Okay, so their example is display the user's name, which is probably more useful than random numbers. It says you can also escape into JavaScript from JSX attributes. So, but you have to use curly braces instead of quotes. For example, class.name equals avatar passes avatar string as a CSS class, but source equals quote user.image URL reads the JavaScript user image URL variable value and passes that value as a source attribute. Okay, so what is this saying? Okay, I get it. So normally when you use HTML, you use like quotations, right, to specify the string that you're passing on, right? Not the string, but the name of the class, right? Avatar is the name of the class. But if you want to replace the name of the class with a variable, then you must use curly brackets. That's what it's saying. Let's see if our example still exists. Okay, so this exists. Do we have any attributes to the button? We do not. And we will not do the attributes to the button because I think it's probably too much work to do here. Yeah. All right. We'll keep going. Okay. So anyway, so even in attributes of a tag, you want to use curly brackets, and that'll work. You can put more complex expressions into JSX curly braces too. For example, string concatenation. All right. So like any type of JavaScript. Let's take a look at this. Oh, this is great. So we have this constant. Okay, so we have this JSON file, right? It's a JSON because it's inside two curly brackets and it has a key and it has a value, right? That's what JSONs are. It has one unique key that you look up and then the value of it, right? This is probably what exists inside a Mongo database, but what do I know? All right, so we have the user profile and we're gonna parse the profile. So, wow, this is pretty cool. So this is in JavaScript. So you've already defined this constant user. So now this function has access to this user, right? So instead of just putting someone's random name, let's put my name. Okay, so you could just put my name. See, what I did here was I put some curly brackets, which escapes it to JavaScript. And then I put like a string, right? Ulrich. But what it wants is user. So the header will be user, right? But user is a JavaScript object. And apparently you cannot pass an object to render as a title because like there's too much stuff in the user. So I could do a toString. Okay, so the toString doesn't do much, but describe the object. So what did I do here? I did user and then I asked it to make itself a string and then I displayed it. So it told myself it's an object. What I really want to do is to access an attribute of this class, like of this object, right? And the attribute would be name. So we can do name and bang, Hedy Lamarr. We can also do different things like the image URL, right? And now instead of the name, it's gonna show nothing because I don't know why. Did I spell something wrong? Let's try image size. Okay, so image size works. So it can show the image size. And how about image URL? I spelled it wrong. All right, so basically you can access any part of your JSON document inside of JSX, which is really, really cool, right? So let's make it name. The other thing is the source. So now the source is replacing this image URL into the source source tag, which is great. Now it can pop an image over here. I wonder if this tool allows us to give external URLs. Let's try to do something, I don't know. Since we're talking about ducks, let's go to Google image and search up duck. Images. I like this giant duck. Let's copy the address. And then we will paste it in here. Let's change this. Oh, wow. And what do you know? Yeah, see, Mr. Ducky, right? You guys see what happened there? So basically user is looking for a URL, right? So this is not Hedy Lamarr anymore. This is Mr. Ducky. Now Mr. Ducky is now over here. And as you can see, even the image side, okay, so for some reason there's a, oh, I see. So the style. So in the style, it's double curly brackets. So I assume this is the string concatenation they're talking about. Ah, there it is. No, it's not. Why are there double brackets here? Because there's two, so basically it's width and height, right? But the style, how does it know to separate the style like this, right? Let's try what we're here for. So let's go to, what does show more do? Okay, it just shows everything. Oh, right here. We don't even need to ask ChatGPT. It's already here. In the above example, style is equal to double curly brackets. It's not a special syntax, but a regular blah object inside the style blah. JSX curly braces. You can use the style attribute when your styles depend on JavaScript variables. Oh, that's cool. All right, so JSX has a special feature. Okay, so JSX has a feature where if you give it an object, it's not a special syntax. It's literally you do a curly bracket, right? And you give it something with a curly bracket. So let's pull this out and let's define another constant called style. All right, or I don't know if it's a keyword. Let's call it my style. And I don't know if it's camel case in JavaScript, but I'm just gonna type in camel case. If it's not, please let me know. All right, so my style is gonna be this thing, right? The width and the height of the photograph, right? And why am I doing this? This is to show that it's not a syntax that JSX has, but it's actually just because it's an object that JSX has that we can give attributes, right? So now I'm gonna give my style, and bam, same thing. It still works. Why does it still work? Because it's, like I said, not like the tutorial says, not a syntax, right? It literally takes in any object, right? I can give it user, but it's gonna freak out because it's just gonna see random stuff. It probably sees image size or something like that, and they put it gigantic, right? So now Mr. Ducky is life size. Look at him. He's so cute. He's so big. This is crazy. He's gigantic. Is that how he gets inflated? Anyway. Okay, so let's put my style back. I'm curious if we can specify the individual styles, but I don't know how to do that, so let's continue. Conditional rendering. In React, there's no special syntax for, oh, actually, sorry. Let's go back. I know one thing. There's like border, right? Let's put 10. No, okay. Border is not an attribute of image tags. All right. Anyway, continuing on. Conditional rendering. In React, there's no special syntax for writing conditions. Instead, you'll use the same technique as you use when writing regular JavaScript code. For example, when you use an if statement to conditionally include JSX. Okay. So same as JavaScript for conditions. Let content, okay, so content is empty. If it's logged in, then content is blah. Else content is blah. Return the content. All right, that's cool. But you can run this before the return? Interesting. So, oh, because this is a function. So anytime you call a component, you're actually just calling the function, right? So you're calling the component, you're calling profile, right? So you can, this is literally code. So let's try to console something. Hi. Okay, JavaScript console. Print. Console.log. All right, cool. Let's try that. So because this is a function, you can run any JavaScript outside, right? So let's log hi. I am, oh wow, look at that. I am Mr. Ducky's programmer. Okay, my bad, can't use the single quote. All right, so I'm Mr. Ducky's programmer. Cool. So this printed to the console because this is running profile, like your for the component that you're loading is profile, and profile needs to run through all this code, right? So you can do like pretty complex code actually. So probably we can probably make like let, I don't know, let is ducky equals true, right? Is true lowercase? Is true. And then we say if is ducky, then return ducky, right? Right here, return ducky, right? And then else, we can do something else. Oh, somebody chatted me on Discord. Who may it be? Where's my Discord? Anyone on my stream? All right, so not people on my stream. Unfortunate. Okay. Let's see. Is ducky true? Okay. Else, if it's not a ducky, let's add a second user then. This user is called ducky. Let's add a user called Elmo, and this is Elmo, right? And then Elmo should have somebody else's photograph. Okay, this is a really long URL. All right, this is an extremely long URL. Elmo. You know, Elmo kind of looks a little creepy, to be honest with you guys, but I grew up with Elmo, so what the heck. Let's do Elmo with Mr. Chicken. Copy image address. Bam. Where are you? All right, let's paste it here. And clearly that is the wrong. Oh, because this is Instagram. All right, Instagram is definitely not gonna let me link to their photograph. Who's gonna let me link to their photograph? I don't know. Some poor server out there somewhere. Flying Elmo. Okay. All right, this looks better. So now, if it's not ducky, then we're gonna, okay, so this user is ducky, right? Ducky, ducky. If it's not ducky, let's return, and of course you can put this in like a better function or something like that. Elmo. Okay, and then for sizing, we want to use, they will have the same size, so let's just use ducky. All right, so we can see Mr. Ducky is here because we said ducky is true. Now let's see what happens when we say false. It became Elmo, and Elmo has been blocked because unfortunately our URL is not active, or we can't access it from a different web page. All right, so anyway, this is a good example of using JavaScript to return the right JSX, right? JSX doesn't have any conditional statements, but you can wrap it and use JSX outside. And apparently you can also shrink it down so that you just use the ternary operation, right? What ternary operation is literally 3 inputs to a function, right? So normally you just have 2, like left and right side. This one has 3, left, middle, and right. And how it works, excuse me, is the condition is in front, you put a question mark, and then you put the first condition if it's true, and the second condition if it's false, right? Which is what this is saying, the conditional operator. When you don't need the else branch, you can use a shorter logical and syntax. And whoever is watching along, thank you for watching, because I don't know who's gonna watch for like literally an hour and 15 minutes. Okay, when you don't need the else branch, you need to use shorter logical and syntaxes, right? So you can say if it's logged. Oh, okay. So this one's okay. So the last thing we'll talk about, because I know this one's really used by a lot of developers. Instead of using this and condition and whatever, this one just says, hey, display admin panel if this condition is true. If not, it's gonna return false. And in JSX, I think when you return false, nothing is displayed, right? This is like a really good trick that a lot of developers use, because if you don't do that, then you have a lot of boilerplate code that you have to write. So it's very common for somebody to using a logical and on a Boolean. And then the second thing is the component that you want, right? So you're basically logical anding the Boolean, and then if it's true, it'll show the component. If it's not, it won't show the component. So this is actually a super cool trick that a lot of people use. So let's put this down. Okay, and the reason I'm kind of excited about this is actually because this saves a lot of code. Like a lot of times you'll want to render something when there's a flag for it, right? You don't want to show a regular user the admin page, right? Because they're a regular user, and maybe there's a special toolbox that shows up for admins, right? You don't want that. So you need to use this and operation, and it makes life a lot easier. Okay, all right, so it's been about an hour and 16 minutes. It's been an hour and 16 minutes since I started the stream. It's quite, I think we made some good progress today, right? We basically went through half of the 80% that we need to know about React, which is really cool because, I mean, we basically learned 40% of what we know or what we need. And that's a lot in my opinion, especially considering it's the second day. So I hope you enjoyed today's stream. Please stick around please keep returning to my stream if you enjoyed the content. I'd love for more people to join our Discord and we can have a conversation instead of me rambling on in front of the camera. But I hope the recording of this is helpful for any of you out there that want to use ChatGPT or want to learn web development. You're basically learning web development with me because I haven't done web development since like before JavaScript. So this is all pretty new to me. I've had bits and pieces here and there, but nothing formal. So this is my first go at a formal introduction to JavaScript web development, and I think it'll be super useful in the future. I know it'll be super useful for you in the future. And yeah, feel free to follow along. Remember to join the Discord. We have a YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is Wonton Tech or Ulrich Siu. I'll also put that in the Discord channel. Those of you that are watching the recording, you probably found me on YouTube. If you did find me on YouTube, I have a lot of different YouTube content you can check out. I have content of like lo-fi mixes for study music, cars, a lot of random stuff. Even making like the thumbnail for this video, I made a little YouTube short. So please follow, subscribe my account, give it a like, follow me on Twitch if you see me on Twitch. And yeah, we'll continue this tomorrow. Feel free to continue through this tutorial yourself, play around with it, and hope to see you soon. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.